Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 21 video where today I'm going to be sharing with you a couple of my little tips and tricks when it comes to my tactics and also my team setup on how you can score more goals during team of the season, during your weekend leagues, or just generally. If you'd like to see another video on the flip side of this on how to be more solid defensively and what you can do to improve there, make sure you let me know in the comment section and we'll get around to doing that probably on Saturday. So without further ado, going straight into it. Now, you want to know how to score more goals. Maybe you're struggling how to score. Now, at the moment, for me, it seems to be pretty easy to score goals. I think the game is at the moment set up to score lots of goals, because everybody has super high rated teams. Everybody has super high end players with top tier stats. Goalkeepers seem to be worse than ever before because they don't seem to be really saving anything. And I think that's more due to the fact that everybody has the top tier players. For example, you look at like this Harry Kane, for example. You look at the shooting stats. 99 attack positioning, 99 finishing, 97 shot power. So he's just got insane shooting. So it appears that the goalkeepers come across like they're worse, but I think it's just because a lot of people have better strikers. Now, obviously, the better players you have, the more successful you'll be when it comes to scoring goals. But one thing that helps with scoring goals is having a good team balance. Now, you can see the team that I'm using this weekend league. We've got Navas at right back, PK, Van Dijk, and Shaw. Solid back four. We've then got two DMs, which are De Jong and Ballack. And then we've got Kane, Dalglish, Cruyff, and Aguero as our attackers. So we have a good balance. We have four good defenders, two defensive midfielders, four attackers. We have the balance. A lot of people, one thing that I see with a lot of people's teams is they don't have a lot of balance to their team. It's maybe too defensive. They have maybe too many midfielders, or maybe they have too many strikers. A balance of your team will really help you score goals. Having players in the right position is super important. Don't play players like Kane at centre mid or as a left cam or something. Play him as a striker. Play him in his correct position and you'll get the best out of him. I don't play Kane as a mid or as a cam. Play him up front because that's his best position. Look at the return on Kane so far for me. 31 games, 30 goals, 10 assists. For somebody who is not necessarily meta because he doesn't have super high pace. I've only given him an engine, so he's got, 93 pace. He doesn't have like the super high agility and balance. So with somebody who's not necessarily a meta card, only 3-star skills as well, high defensive work rate, but we get an amazing return out of him because we use him in the correct position. So make sure you're always using your players in the correct position. Don't try and be clever and smart and edgy by using players in the wrong position because you will not get the best out of them. Now, when it comes to my custom tactics, this is for my 4-2-2-2 formation. And a prime example for this, again, you can see on the right-hand side, we're using Sergio Aguero as a left cam. Now, we just said, don't want to use players out of position. Now, this for me is out of necessity because I have too many strikers. And this is where a prime example of somebody's team being imbalanced. Now, I've funnily enough, have noticed myself that Aguero is my worst player in this team. Even though he's an insanely good card, because I'm playing him out of position, because I'm playing him in a position as a left cam where he needs super high pace because he's going to be using the wings a lot. And he's going to need high passing because his main aim is not to score goals now. So he doesn't need the super high shooting. He needs really high passing, needs high pace, needs high agility and balance, which he has, but not enough for that position. So he's playing out of position. Therefore, he doesn't work. Cruyff, on the other hand, on the right-hand side, Cruyff is a centre forward. So he can play in that position. So making sure you have the right players is super important. That's why I don't get the best out of Aguero. But it's kind of the best I can do at the moment. But what I'm looking to do is get that Coutinho in there. Coutinho is going to play at left cam. I'm going to have everybody in the right position. And then I'm going to get the max out of my players. Now, when it comes to your custom tactics, what you can do to make yourself more attacking. Now, one thing I do and have done recently is play on a higher depth. Now, the higher depth you play, the higher up you can squeeze, the higher up your players are, more chances you have to score. However, the trade-off is the more opportunity you have to get countered. And it's about finding that sweet spot. For me, at one point, I was playing up around about 9. I was playing super high. But I think now that it's team of the season, I've retreated a little bit. I've gone a little bit deeper. I've gone down to 7 depth because, again, as we mentioned at the start, everybody's got super good teams. Everybody has got 99 pace attackers or super high pace attackers that, unless you are playing fullbacks at centre back, which I'm not, we've got Van Dijk and we've got PK, I can't really afford to play as high up a depth as I can. However, a lot of people like to play on sort of like 3 and 4, and this is just far too deep. And it's one of the reasons why if you do play this deep, you are going to be struggling to create chances because you're having to start your attacks from so deep inside your own half. you're having to go 60, 70 yards up the field before you can potentially score. So the higher up you are, the more opportunity you'll have to score goals, but you will have more opportunity to concede. So it's about finding that sweet spot. Another thing that's really important is your offensive style, whatever offensive style you choose to play. Now, I find that fast build-up is the best one in terms of creating more chances. A lot harder to play against, but it's more technical. You've got to be a better player to use it, and you've got to play to that strength. There's no good playing fast build-up if you're someone who likes to play quite slow possession style FIFA, because it requires lots of quick 1-2s, you know, quick fast passing. It requires that. Good reaction times as well, because you're going to have to move up the pitch at speed. And if you're not someone who can do that, you're not going to get the most out of it. But for me, I find that fast build-up suits my game really, really well. Again, pairing this with quite a high depth allows you to potentially create a lot more chances, but you will concede a few more. And maybe that's something you need to do. Maybe you're a super good attacker, not the best defender. So maybe your play style should be, I'm just going to try and outscore my opponent. And that's how I like to play FIFA. The way I like to play FIFA is I know that my strength is my attacking. So I play to my strengths, which is my attacking. So if I win a game 6-4, no big deal. I know that I'll outscore most people I play. So therefore, I'm willing to be a little bit more empty defensively and have a few more bodies going forwards. But I know that I'm going to score more goals and potentially outscore my team. So it's about finding that balance for your players. And when it comes to instructions, there's not too much secret with the instructions. We do a lot of tactic videos. So if you want a better breakdown on this 4-2-2, we did do this video very, very recently. One thing that's really stand out is these two wide cams in this formation. For example, having these on free roam is super, super important. Now, if you play with any formation that has a cam, make sure you have your position freedom on free roam. This is a game changer for me. I started doing this at the start of the year. Have never ever played off of free roam because it's so difficult for your opponents to pick up this position because they drift all over the place. 1 minute Cruyff is out on the right, next minute he's like on the left, next minute he's in the middle, next minute he's dropping deep, then he's running in behind. And it's so hard for your opponent to pick up a player who's constantly drifting around the pitch. And it works for both sides. It works for Aguero and Cruyff as well. Sometimes they both drift in, sometimes they drift wide, sometimes one goes long, one goes short, and they drift around so well. And when you have players that are floating, it's so hard for your opponent to defend because they're not in the normal position. If you have every single player stuck in position like a statue and you play a very simple style of FIFA, you're going to be really easy to play against because after 10, 15, 20 minutes of the game, your opponent's going to go, okay, I know he does this, I know he does this, and I know this player is going to be here, and this player is going to be here. So after 20 minutes, your opponent's worked you out, and now there's nothing you can do. Whereas when you are a little bit more unpredictable in the way you attack and the way you set up your team, for example, in this free roam position, you have players that are constantly drifting and moving around. Your opponent can't get used to how you play because if you play a little bit tricky with skill moves, with whatever you like to do, and your players are now drifting around, really hard for your opponent to defend because you're always quite unpredictable. Therefore, he's not going to be able to predict what you're going to do. And then obviously, finally, a last thing would be with your fullbacks in terms of the instructions and making yourself a little bit more attacking. If you like to have your fullbacks on balance, that's obviously going to give you more opportunity. Now, one of the reasons why it works with this formation particularly is because if we have Aguero and Cruyff on free roam, let's say they both drift inside, now it frees up the wings for Shaw and for Navas to get forwards. Now I've got two more bodies going forward. The downside is I'm only going to leave myself with Van Dijk, Piqué, De Jong and Ballack defensively, and neither of them, except for De Jong, are super rapid and quick. Hence why I do concede a decent amount of goals on the counter because Shaw and Navas go forwards, Cruyff, Aguero drift in. That only leaves three relatively slow players and Frenkie de Jong defending. Hence why when people have the super high 99 pace attackers, I concede a lot on the counter, but I'm able to score more goals because I've got more players going forward. So again, it's about finding the balance that works for your team. But these are just some of the little tips and tricks that I do with my tactics, with my instructions, and with my team to make myself more attacking. So maybe you can take some of these, add them to your game, and see how it works. If you'd like to see another video like this regarding defending on Saturday, do drop a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. If you're interested in our Discord, link to that will be down below. It is a great place to talk about FIFA if you're interested. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.